So you just recorded a podcast with vMix, maybe using vMixCall. You dive into edit and you find something horrible. A bunch of files, stopping at random times, different resolutions, and nothing stays in sync. Well, I'm going to show you the right way to ISO record vMix calls so they're perfectly synced every time and you don't have a bunch of files and changing resolutions. 99% of vMix users get this wrong. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. And make sure to stick around to the end because I'll show you the exact template I use to record perfect vMix calls every time. If you don't know what a vMix call is, that's okay. Maybe you're just learning vMix and you don't know where to start. Be sure to grab my course, vMixJumpstart. It's available in the links below this video. It's a great place to learn how to do a two-person podcast the right way and get up and running really quickly in vMix. You could learn all the shortcuts yourself. vMix is quite an easy program to learn. But if you want to just jump right to the good stuff, learn how to do things the right way, and wow your clients, you're going to want to grab my course. So see the links below this video. So now let's just dive right in to how to record proper vMix calls with perfect sync. So remember when I mentioned frame synchronization? That's what vMix will do with every input. In order to cleanly switch video, everything coming in has to be running at the same frame rate. So vMix will do this automatically with all inputs. If a source is coming in from vMixCall, let's say, at 15 frames per second, vMix will duplicate the frames to match the program frame rate. And the program frame rate is down here in the lower left corner where you see 1080p 59.9. That is the frame rate of my preset. So if I click settings, I can choose the master frame rate right here, 59.94. So that means everything coming out of vMix is going to be perfectly synced at that frame rate. vMix will take all its inputs and duplicate frames to match that frame rate. And of course, when we're editing, that's what we want. We want everything to be the same frame rate because otherwise when we bring it into our edit system, it's not going to sync at all. So how do we make sure that all of our vMix calls, when they're recorded, are also at that frame rate? We're going to use the multicorder. The multicorder looks something like this. Down here, you have your inputs. And even though I have vMix calls in the multicorder here, they don't show up. If I click Show Unsupported Inputs, it's going to give me a warning. This option will display inputs not officially supported with multicorder as they may cause problems. And what are those problems, you ask? Out of sync records, multiple files every time it changes resolution, and all kinds of other issues because those incoming vMix calls are not being frame synchronized to the vMix outputs. So if I choose this, I'll see them here. It's a very bad idea to record these directly. You're going to want to record the outputs of vMix. You have 4. But in order for the vMix calls to show up in those outputs, we need to route them through an output first with the appropriate audio. So I'm going to show you that. Go into your vMix settings and choose outputs right here. We can't use output 1 because output 1 is the program output, and you're probably going to want to record that if you're doing a live cut of an interview. So let's start with output 2. I'm going to tell output 2 that I want to record the first vMix call, which is input 1. Then I'm going to tell output 3 I want to record the second input, which is input 2. Those are my 2 vMix calls. Now the next thing you're going to have to do is make sure that you want isolated audio. You can record the mixed audio, but if you want to do any work on the audio, any sweetening, anything like that, you're going to need the isolated audio. So go into your gear right here next to output 2, go to the settings, choose the audio channel you want to record. I'm going to say I want to record bus A for this output, and that'll record everything that's routed through bus A. The resolution I'm going to leave on default, and none of the rest of the settings matter. Output 2, I'm going to go in here and choose bus B. I'm going to choose default resolution because that'll match my vMix preset settings. None of the other settings matter for this output. And now I've got output 2 recording the first input with bus A audio, output 3 recording the second input with bus B audio. Now you're going to want to go into your audio mixer in vMix, and I'm going to move it over here so you can see. Now I'm going to go into my audio mixer here in vMix and look at input 1 right here. In order to get that to send isolated audio to bus A, I need to route it to bus A. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do the same thing with input 2, guest 2. I'm going to route that to bus B. So now those outputs that we set up are going to get audio from A. Output 2 is going to get audio from the first caller. Output 3 is going to get audio from the second caller. Then the other thing you're going to want to check is that the return audio sources going to your callers is master or some other bus. I like to use master because vMix will handle the mix minus for you. So they get to hear whatever is on program. So make sure that is set as well. Now we should be set up to ISO record properly from the multicorder. So I'm going to go back into my multicorder settings, and I want to record 3 things. I want to record my output 1, which is going to be my program cut that I'm going to do live. Output 2 will be my first guest. Output 3 will be my second guest. You can go through and set up some reasonable record settings. This will be up to you on what codec you're going to use. I do not recommend ProRes unless you have an extremely fast system and an extremely fast disk. MPEG-4 AAC works pretty well. Make sure you set the video quality to a high enough bit rate for your program. The important setting here is audio. You want audio to be set to input. This tells the multicorder to record whatever audio that we set up and associated with the output. So that would mean in this case, output 1 is going to record master, output 2 is going to record bus A, and output 3 is going to record bus B. Now choose a recording folder for all of those, and when you're ready, you can just hit start. One of the things vMixCall is really good at is getting guests into your system really quick. But as you can see, one of the things it's bad at is not keeping a consistent frame rate. If anything is still in your video, if you send a still image like I am just for test purposes, vMixCall is not going to send a full 30 frames per second. It's going to send whatever your system is capable of. So you can see right here, it's only sending 2 frames per second. And the resolution is going to change. Right now I'm getting 720, but if there's any bandwidth dips from your guest, that's going to change. Routing the calls through the output stabilizes all of that. That resolution will never change. You won't get multiple files. And this 2 frames per second will be frame synced to match the vMix outputs. vMix will keep recording. That's the beauty of it. It'll keep recording. It'll just insert black or freeze, whatever you have vMixCall set to do. So you're going to have one continuous file when you go to drop it into your edit system. Now there's one other secret about the multicorder that most people don't know. Now when you go into your multicorder folder, you're going to see a bunch of files. You're going to see the outputs from each of the recordings that you did. Log files associated with these. These aren't very interesting to us unless something went wrong. But then you've got this XML file. And if we take a look at it, it is a bunch of data about the recordings. And you see this up here, sequence timeline. What this actually is, it's a Final Cut Pro 7 XML timeline representation. But the nice thing about that is we can actually import this into Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve as a synced up timeline. Now, you really don't need to do that when you have the multicorder running through the vMix outputs because they should already be synced up. However, it is a nice to have because you can just import that as a timeline. In your edit system, you just go File, Import Timeline, and choose the XML file. Everything should come in automatically and it'll sync up and save you a step and load up all the clips in your timeline already synced up and ready to go. Me personally, I just use a multicam clip because they're guaranteed to match with the method I showed you, which also saves you a lot of time in post-production. If you want to see more time-saving techniques like this and learn how to use vMix like the pros use it, hit like, subscribe, and check out my free email crash course. I've I've linked it below. If you want to get a video business started using vMix, using streaming tools, you don't sell the tools. You need to build a business around it, and the email crash course is exactly what you need. So I've linked it in the notes below. Check it out. Also, if you want to get up and running on vMix quickly, learn how to do a podcast show the right way again, and set it up like the pros do, my vMixJumpstart course, also linked in the notes below.